Hey guys, it's Noel here. I want to talk to you today about some changes that have been made to the website Flightradar24. Now I know that a lot of you guys are going to be aware of this. This is a website that's really popular for tracking flights. There's quite a few of them out there. It is my favourite website that I use, I have to say, partly because I actually host a receiver for them, so I've kind of got a little bit of a bias there. But also I just find that the coverage from this website is amazing. And you may or may not be aware that this week they've done quite a few changes to the website, updating the website, introducing some new features that I've been having to play around with, and I think they're amazing. So I thought I'd just share with you guys what I've found and what my thoughts are on these. Now, as I mentioned before, I actually host a receiver for Flightradar. They sent it to me, and one of the receivers that they have on the network is mine, sitting here at the house. And to be honest, I'm a little bit disappointed that they didn't give us any heads up of this change. When they brought out the MLAT coverage, so when they brought out all the light aircraft that you could track on it and things like that, they gave all of their feeders an opportunity to test them and have a play around with it before it actually went live. I guess it's a little bit more difficult for them now. They have got an awful lot more feeders than they had before, so logistically it could be a little bit more tricky, but hey, we are where we are, and here is the new website as it looks today. So you probably know that Flightradar hasn't really changed very much in terms of the way it looks in the last 7 to 8 years since that it's been around. Their coverage has obviously increased immensely, and we've gone from having just a few feeders dotted around to coverage around the world, really. So it's actually, other than that, it's been pretty static in terms of the way the website looks and the features that it has. This update this week changes that completely. It's brought it right up to date. There's some fantastic new features on there, so it's a long awaited welcome change. So first things first, the most important thing I think that you need to be aware of is that the subscription model that they had before has changed. Now, essentially before, you used to get just a premium membership, which was $36 a year, and that allowed you to have access to all these additional features. They didn't really specify what the features were. You just got more above and beyond what you got on the free website. So if you actually go on the website now, they've actually introduced these new premium subscription plans in addition to the free one. I'm not going to run through all of these. They're all on the website at the URL here, flightradar24.com/premium. And it gives you an idea of the different feature set that you get with each of them. Now, before, as I mentioned, premium membership was $36 a year. The equivalent to that now is the gold membership, which is actually cheaper by $1 and gives you a lot more features than what you had before. So actually it's quite a nice improvement and quite a nice model. They've introduced this new silver membership as well, which gives you a few less features. Essentially most of the features that you get are a case of the more you pay, the higher the number of queries that you can do and things like that, and the higher the number of days that you can look at playback is and things like that. I'll run through those in a few moments with you. The other important thing that I found actually as a feeder and as a host for Flightradar24 is that whereas before we just got a premium membership before, they've now given all of us feeders a business membership, which is their top of the line one. It's worth about $500 a year, and it is really incredible what you can do with that. So in addition to things like the ads being removed and basically getting all of the flight tracking, you can now do things like playback flights for up to a year. You've got much higher limits. You can do airline fleet tracking. It's really a package that's aimed at airlines and professionals, and they're giving it to all of their feeders for free, which I think is fantastic. It's something that other companies like FlightAware do. They give free software to people who host their receivers. So it's actually nice to see that Flightradar are giving you a little bit more in terms of what you get with the package. So like I say, if you host one of their receivers, or even if you host your own receiver and feed to them, as long as you're feeding to them, you will get this business package, which is $500 a year. I don't know whether I'd pay that. It's probably not if it was just me, but it's a nice number, and it's a nice set of features that you get for that amount of money. So as you can see then on the website, the first thing that they've done is change the interface, and the old interface was a little bit less visually appealing compared to the likes of Plane Finder. What they've done now is updated this completely, so it all looks very shiny, very slick. If I select an aircraft here, you'll be able to see a lot of information. So the full information about this aircraft flight, it's very similar to what you had before, but it just looks a lot prettier. More information here, things like average flight time, average delay on this route, in addition to all of the aircraft information and things that you got before. Now it's worth pointing out that as per the plans I was just talking about, a lot of this information is only on the paid plans. If you have the free plan, just as before on the free plan rather, you don't really get a lot of information. So you have to pay to get the most out of Flightradar these days, unfortunately, unless you're obviously a feeder to them. So in terms of the information you get down the left hand side, it's very similar to what we had before. Like I said, it looks very pretty now though. They've included this new speed and altitude graph, so you can actually see on a live flight what's happening, how high the aircraft is, things like that. And with all of these things you can pop them out like this. So here we go, so this aircraft here, it's another flight that's flying around at the moment, so it gives you quite a nice little graph of the flight, and as you watch this flight you'll see that it updates in real time as well. Really cool to have, especially if you're tracking somebody on a flight that you're waiting to go to the airport and pick them up. You can actually track the flight in real time as before, but you get all of this information in real time format, which is, I think, fantastic. They have also introduced or they will be introducing this real-time information from the flight deck of the aircraft. Now this is only on the premium plans, and if we pick this aircraft here, I don't think it's actually live yet. They're marketing it as such, but from what I've seen so far that isn't the case. I've not seen any aircraft, not found anything that's got this. But essentially what you need to know is that with ADS-B, which is the means that this data is transmitted from the aircraft, they also transmit not only their position, but they send like information about the instruments on the aircraft. You can get all sorts of information from that, and that information includes things that they're not going to put on here, like what autopilot mode the flight is in, loads of settings about the information about the settings that are being used on the flight itself, which clearly they're not going to just publish to everybody on the web. But what it does show is, and what they're planning to show you on this website, should I say, is things like the temperature and the wind speed, wind direction at the aircraft's cruising altitude. Now I've seen that there is actually places for it down the left hand side of the screen, which you'll see here. Let's just load this flight up here. Although this information doesn't actually seem to be updating at the moment, so we can see here we have wind, temperature, the name of the air traffic control or area that you're talking to at that moment in time, and things like that, and obviously GPS altitude, which is probably going to vary very slightly from the calibrated altitude that Flightradar give you. So it looks like that's something they're planning to implement. They're certainly selling it as such on the plans. If you go down here, it will show you that you get the full flight details, which is extended mode S data, including GPS altitude, wind and temperature, and additional speed data. It does sell that as such on here, but as of yet it's quite new, and I don't think they're actually publishing that information yet. It's going to be really cool when they do, though. So that's pretty much it from the front end side of it, but there's loads more features that I'm going to show you about now. So for example, the best thing I think about this so far is the 3D view, which I've been dying to show you guys. I think you're going to love this. So before, the 3D view was a little bit glitchy, a little bit basic. You had to have certain plugins installed in your browser. This all runs completely natively now, and when it loads in a minute you'll see exactly what I mean. They actually have aircraft models loaded. So here we go, this is an A320 flight, that's A319, that's just about flying over the top of me right at the minute, and although I know there's no paint on this model, it's clearly going to be some more work for them to do. I can imagine they are going to do that going forward, but look at this. This is absolutely fantastic. Compared to what you had before, you can see a full view of where the aircraft is in flight. You can pan it around, see exactly what the passengers on that flight are going to be seeing at this moment in time. It's really, really cool. If I find another aircraft, some of the aircraft, to give you a better idea, they've actually got a certain amount of liveries on them. So if I go to this 747, for example, here, and here we go. So you can see that this aircraft has got it's completely painted in a Boeing 747 livery. It's looking a little bit jerky on here. It's probably because of the screen recording software that I'm using here. It's actually really smooth, and again, fantastic. You can just zoom around, you can see exactly what people on that flight are going to be seeing. As before, you can also go to the flight deck view, so this is what the view out of the front of the aircraft is going to be like as well. Just a fantastic feature, and it's something that's I've always felt has had a lot of promise, but they've actually done this in a really good way now using this new software that they're using. It's brilliant, I really like it. So if we go back to the map view, there's some new layers that are also available on here as well. So if I go to settings here, you can see this had a bit of an overhaul from before. If I go to the layers, so you've got your standard settings you had before, the weather, and I'll show you what the weather's doing in certain areas. But you've now got this option, this is ATC boundaries, and if I zoom out a little bit, you'll get a great view of this. So these red lines that you see are basically the boundaries of air traffic control centres. So this one that we're in at the minute, this is the London Control Centre. You've got Scottish up here, Shannon over in Ireland, down to France you've got Paris Control, Brussels Control, Amsterdam. Quite cool really that you can actually see this all on the map now. One thing that I would actually love to see on Flightradar that they've not done yet, I did speak to them, I sent them a tweet some time back ago asking about this, and they said they're looking at doing it. They've not done it yet, but would be to implement some sort of sky vector type overlay. So instead of actually looking at the map on Google Maps as you see here, Sky Vector, I don't know whether you're aware of it, but it's a website that shows you a little bit like Google Maps. It's basically aviation charts. So this is all the airways over the UK. You can see where they are. This is the exact map that the pilots use. So if you actually go back to Flightradar, you can see they're following round about the same sort of track that they would be on here. So if you had the option to put this on Flightradar, I think that would be fantastic, and you can actually see the aircraft going along all the airways. Again, it's just a suggestion for them. If anybody from Flightradar is listening, would love to see that. I guess that there are probably some issues with licensing it and having to pay for it, but we'll have to see. So next then basically is the list of views that you can have here. So this is something else that they've introduced. They've put views in, and you can click here, and we're in default view at the moment. Obviously full screen is pretty much what it says. Well, it doesn't seem to be doing much at the moment. List view, this is pretty cool. So every aircraft that you see here on this map at the moment appears as a list on the left hand side here. So you can see basically a full list of all the flights that are on the screen at the moment, aircraft type, call sign. Yeah, it's pretty basic information, but it's been put in a really nice way. I love the way this looks on here at the moment. Another option that you have in the view, which is very similar to this airport view, I won't go into. It's exactly the same as it was before really. They're selling it as a new feature, but it's just arrivals and departures from an airport from what I can see. So if we go here and go to East Midlands Airport, again, they've just put it in a bit of a nicer format for you. So you can see all the arrivals and departures from East Midlands we're looking at the moment. It's just a very nice way of looking at it. Quite a nice smart view again. Again, I love the way they've done this, the whole design of it. I think it just looks really smart. Another excellent one that I've found that they do, and this is only for the premium plan, for the business plan. So again, if you feed to Flightradar, you get this for free. I'm not sure really why you'd want to pay for this otherwise, but I think it's still pretty cool nonetheless. You type in the name of your airline, if I can type, and we'll go to British Airways, and you see a list of every aircraft in the British Airways fleet. And you can, so if we search by registration, and it shows you all the aircraft and the flights that they are on at the moment, or whether they're actually flying at all. So Golf Bravo November Lima November there, it's not actually flying anywhere, but then Oscar and Papa are there flying to Vancouver and San Francisco at the moment. It's just a really cool feature, I find. If you want to get an overview of an airline's fleet and where they are at any moment in time, you can see it all in here. I just think it's another great cool feature. It's another one of these. They've had the data there forever, and it's actually nice that they're actually using it in a way like this now to generate some really nice looking features on the website. And aside from that, so the whole idea of bookmarks, this is the same as before. You can manage bookmarks. I won't go into any detail on these. You can save the screen that you're looking at the minute as a bookmark and keep going back to that area. again, it's exactly the same as it was before, really. Filters are the same, just looks a little bit prettier how they've done the website. But a feature that I really would like to show you here is the playback features. Now, this is a feature that's always been there, and again, you can go back and get historical aircraft, but they've done a lot of enhancements on this side of things. So before the updates of the website, you got about 30 days of flight history from Flightradar that you could go back and you could view any aircraft route from the last 30 days. Now, realistically, if you knew the Flightradar24's code for the flight that they allocate to it, you could probably go back a little bit further, but it was a very awkward, difficult process, and if you didn't know that code, then you've got no hope of getting any older flights. Now they've increased the limit of this, so if you are on a standard gold plan, they call it, which is the $35 a year one, you get by standard you get 7 days. On the gold plan you get 180 days of playback. The silver plan, which is the new cheap one that they've introduced, is 2 months worth, which is still more than you had before. But get this, the business plan has an entire year of aircraft playback that you can do. So if I click on here and go playback, I can view the aircraft that were over here a year ago, March the 19th last year, and start the playback. And you'll see it just populate in a second with all of the aircraft that were there. And again, you've got this really cool little timeline along the bottom here. And this is what it was like at 2 o'clock on the March the 19th last year. Fantastic, really. The other thing that you can do now is the history itself. So again, if we go back to flights history over here, now this is something that they've increased and they've enhanced quite a lot as well. So if I want to find out what a flight was doing last year, now ordinarily if I find a flight, so this is a flight that I took, my London to New York flight that I did last year, AA107. And you can see there is actually a flight doing that route at the moment. There he is, over Canada at the moment, heading across from London to Canada. Again, they've made this look really pretty. We up that to 100 days, and you can basically find the data about a flight, anything for up to a year. So you've got an entire year of history of this flight now you can go back through. So here we go, here is a flight that is loaded. So this is American 107 the other day. And again, you can do exactly as you did before, but it's again a lot shinier than it was. So there's your route on the top. You've got a little timeline here of the flight. You can pop out all the information about the altitude, the speed. Several options to configure the map up here as well. Something else that's really interesting that they've done and that they've not done before now is you've got the option now to download the path of these flights as a KML or a CSV file. Now before, to be able to do this, you had to use an external tool, and a quick plug here, this is a utility that I created. This is FR24 KML, and what that lets you do is just put in the code. This is the Flightradar code, which I won't bore you with the details, but if you see up here at the top here, it's the code that Flightradar allocate to the flight. And you just hit the button and it generates a KML, a GPX, a text or a CSV file about that flight. And this is the only way you've been able to get that data up until now. But what's great is they're now actually incorporating this into the website. They've realised that there's a need there and that people are after this information. And you can pull all that information down just by hitting on the file. You're probably looking at it thinking, why would I need to do this? Well, I'll give you an example. The flight that the maps that I generate every time I do a flight, just like this one, are basically files that I've generated from Flightradar. And what I've done is then exported them using another website, a GPS visualizer, a bit of jiggery pokery with the file, and I've managed to generate this map that I'll link to in the descriptions of all of my full flight videos that I upload. So this is exactly the sort of thing you can do with that data. It's really good that Flightradar have recognised at last that people actually want this information and use it for various things. At the end of the day, Flightradar I find has the best coverage around the world for the flights. So the fact that you can actually do this natively on the website now, I think, is fantastic. You still can't export to a GPX file though, which is it's a bit of a techie kind of moan for me. because I use GPX is exactly the file I use. You can convert from KML to GPX and things, so it's not really that much of an issue for me. But for the moment, at least, my FR24 KML website still works. How long this will work for, I don't know. They're making so many changes at the back end, it's very likely that this script will stop working soon. So if you want to do that at the minute, you can feel free to go ahead, and I'll put this link in the description to the video as well. One other thing that Flightradar24 doesn't do yet, and it's something that I was hoping that they would reconsider, is to allow you to view military flights and things on here. They did initially when they first started doing MLAT. You could see military flights, you could see fighter jets and things buzzing around, but they don't do that, and they took it off for security reasons. Kind of can't blame them. They're looking to kind of not be liable for it in any way, shape or form, really, and you can't really blame them for that. There's other websites you can go to for this that I'll link to in the description. ADSB Exchange is the one I tend to use. Not as got the coverage that Flightradar has, but it does cover the UK pretty well, and you can see military aircraft flying around if that floats your boat. So in summary then, the changes that Flightradar24 have made to their website I think are really cool. Yes, we've got the much awaited, long awaited update of the website, so it looks a bit posher, a little bit smarter, but these features that it's introducing in the back end I think are amazing, and particularly the 3D view, I'm really liking that, and I can see it's going to waste a lot of my time over the coming weeks and months just sitting watching planes flying over there. So yeah, it's a great job by Flightradar. I'm really looking forward to using it. I hope you've all enjoyed this video. If you have enjoyed it, please give us a like, click on share, subscribe, comment in the comments below, and if you've got any more ideas for future videos that you'd like to see, please do give me a shout. That's all for today, and I'll speak to you soon.